Well, can you guys believe it? Again, yes, Agnes Vivarelli. Yeah, I think you've heard of her. I know. The rumor mill's been talking. There's been a rumbling out there. That's right, Agnes Vivarelli and Dan RadioStyle. Once again, what?
Woo!
I know. Here we are. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Agnes, how you been? What's going on?
Good, Dan. I'm in
Just
France. I'm about 15 minutes, 20 minutes inland from Cannes in the south of France, seeing my family. And just enjoying. I got here yesterday and just enjoying already eating pastries and stuff.
Right? I mean, hello. When in France, right? I mean, now, were you coming from England in that case? I mean, there's what, an hour? Okay, so like an hour difference.
I think 2-hour flight and an hour's difference.
But a 1 hour time difference. Gotcha. So it's not like coming from Australia or something.
Oh, God, no. That's a lot further. No. So, it's good to be here again. The little village where I grew up.
Very good. Now, one thing I wanted, because I haven't actually talked to you about this, and I was going to bring it up in our little pre-talk, but I'm like, no, let's just hit her up where she's not expecting it, because that's always way more fun. But
cool.
You were down in a very super spiritually kind of groovy place in Australia and did sort of like a walkabout or whatever. I don't know. It wasn't a walk. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up. But so what kind of, can you give like a quick little 1 minute on that? And then we're going to get into some really, obsession for one thing we're going to talk about, tease that a little bit. And then two, random stuff that we're going to friggin' walk into that you guys can enjoy with us. So stay tuned. But anyway, Agnes, what was the
Australian desert. That was a trip I'd wanted to do, I think, for about 15 years. And the title of my third book is actually linked in with that trip. I won't tell you what it is yet.
Is it out yet or no?
Not yet. No, it's finished, but it's being uploaded to the website, and the website's being done.
What?
So, but that trip was something I wanted to do because I always wanted to go and see the Red Desert and be in the center, because Australia is like a donut. Everything's around the edge, and then there's Uluru right in the middle. Or Ayers Rock.
Well, the jelly, if you will, is poisonous critters that can kill you just by looking at you. That's the jelly within the donut you call Australia. But
yes, that's true. That's true. And it was 43 degrees. So in your temperature,
it's hot as hell.
80, 90, 100, 113 it was in your
people on the East Coast would say wicked hot. I would say stupid hot out here. And most people would senselessly would just say, why? No.
That was fantastic. It was
so it was like, would you like spiritual? Like, was there some sort of connection? Did you
just a real presence? Just the place has a real presence. I mean, there's a lot of Aboriginals that live there. You move amongst them. They're there. They're doing the dot painting. They're they're laying around.
Meditations or anything cool or anything?
No, I actually signed up to do a couple of things, but the Aboriginals didn't turn up. Sometimes they go walkabout and they don't show up. So I ended up going for a camel ride instead. So that was fun.
There you go. That's why not? So very cool. All right. So let's get into the joy and love that we call obsession. Because obviously there are people out there that love so deeply that I want to lock them into a little room and put a lock and latch and key on the outside and keep them away from everything else. Like there's a sense of unhealthy that sometimes comes with love. And I don't know, just to kind of first off, let's go easy. What are your thoughts on obsession, just as an overview? Like when someone's being obsessive, because you get a hair more traffic than I do. So it's more than a hair. It's like a really thick bundle of hair, kind of braided ponytail, really, that hair. But you do experience a lot more of the multiplier effect, if you will, to what I see even. And you're right, there is sometimes this unhealthy balance, and you want to help. And so let's talk. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, obsession. Look, I think when you're in obsession, you are a long way away from your self-love.
Oh, Lord,
because you are in preoccupation with someone or something. And you are in that obsession thinking, if I just get that, I will feel better, or I'll feel happy, or I'll feel at peace, or whatever. But you know that when you don't get it, you're like a puppet that's had its strings cut. it's like your happiness goes, your joy goes, your centeredness goes, your feeling of security goes. So everything is dependent on getting that thing, which means you are really at the mercy of it. So,
well, on top of that too, just to cover even from that same direction, but you get to a point where, since so much is outside of yourself and it's like your happiness is dependent on this thing, you get to a point where you start trying to control it. You start trying to guide it where you want it to go. And then all of a sudden you get pissed off that the relationship's not what it used to be. And it's like, well, you've completely steered this thing into the wall about 15 times. It's battered to pieces. I mean, again, but to your point, yeah, exactly. That whole Now, it
destroys your mental stability. It destroys your emotional state when you're obsessed with someone or something. And it's, you know, I'm sure many of us have experienced being obsessed about something, and it is uncomfortable. It's not a comfortable, it's like all else drifts into the background, and you usually don't look after yourself properly. When you're obsessed, you often, you know, you either overeat, you undereat, you don't sleep properly. It affects many, many things in your life because you're preoccupied so intently with this thing that you are not in a good state of being. And I think when you're in that obsession, to try and get out of it, you've got to look at, why is it that I want this thing so badly? What do I think this is going to give me? And then when you answer that question, then you can work out, how can I do that for myself?
So I want to take a step back from it. And I think there's actually another question that we can help people with. And hopefully we might just have to kind of figure our way through it. But when you're the one that's in a relationship and you truly, truly care about somebody, right?
Yeah.
Think about them all the time. I just, like, when I think of them, I tear up. You know, I've heard people talk about that. I've heard this energy, this love that wells from in. But I need to make sure that they do certain things, or else it's going to hurt feelings, or else. And it's that, how do we help other people identify qualities that make them kind of obsessive, if you will? Is it, I mean, like I was just giving an example there, kind of this, I need you to do something in order for me to. It's usually a good guarantee that you've immediately just placed your happiness making potential outside of yourself, rather than, you know, I'm happy when I play in the water. I don't know, whatever. Right? Like, well, now all of a sudden I've got a thing I can do to make myself happy. I don't need this person to flutter like a butterfly and sprinkle glitter on themselves and stand with the sun behind them. I have odd images at times, but you know, like that angelic pose. Something's wrong with my mind. But that being said, it is, we do, a lot of us have this like ideal. And it's not necessarily always manifested in some sort of really obvious unhealthy way. Sometimes it can be like, I subtly find myself nudging my mate in a certain direction, or I sometimes find myself saying, well, no, they were really cool how they bought me that gift. If only it would have been this instead. Like now it's like you've taken something wonderful. And so what are you just kind of the thoughts on identifying if
obsession?
Yeah. How do we know? Like, I mean, I think I'm healthy, obviously, right? Every single person that sends obsessive emails to you and I think they're healthy. They do. They don't just be like, I know I'm totally obsessive, but it never starts like that. It's always, no, I love them and I think of them and I do love, and then obsessive stuff. And you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
What was the question? I've lost the train.
Well, how you identify, how you kind of, how, as someone that may not realize they're being obsessive.
Okay.
What are some things I could maybe see in the mirror, right? Do I get a little red freckle that tells me you're obsessive? What are the little red freckles from Agnes's perspective?
Well, I think when you are not able to concentrate at work, you're watching TV and you're not listening at all to the program, you're engaging in addictions. Often obsession people reach to addictions to try and feel better. You know, their smoking increases, they start taking drugs, they start going out a lot and drinking alcohol. So the obsession starts to drive you mad and you're reaching for substances to try and break the obsession. Because if you knock yourself out with a substance, then the obsession stops temporarily while you're knocked out, and then you wake up the next day, you're hungover or whatever, you've got the effects of the substances, but then your obsession comes back. So it does work temporarily, but then it smashes your self-love and your health in the process. So I think it's looking at those things that I'm doing. It's like you're not present. Being not present is a huge indicator that your obsession is kicking in, and that not being able to focus at work is a big one. And when I struggled with that was an area that my work really suffered, or I would take days off because I wanted to stay home and obsessed and think about it and try and work something out and not go to work on that day. So those were indicators for me at the time, that because it was affecting my work, it was affecting my sleeping, it was affecting me being able to be productive at home. I wasn't cooking properly for myself because I didn't want to spend time shopping. It's like you keep thinking, if I go over this enough times, I'm going to get somewhere with it, and you don't. It's problem thinking, and how can I get thinking.
Right. Here's the question that both you and I are going to get a bunch of. Okay, so I'm at work and I'm sitting there and I'm working away, and then all of a sudden he pops into my head and I can't stop thinking about him. And like, maybe that's like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, whatever. Like I'm not going to go through the whole tirade of what this imaginary moment is that you and I are going to see comments or emails about. What is the point where it's healthy? Like, yeah, no, totally. You're manifesting this guy. Of course, you're going to have moments where you're going to be living in the end, right? You're going to have moments where you're thinking about the future, you're imagining whatever, right? It's like there's a healthy component to some of those. How is it because it happens multiple times? Because I'm not meeting deadlines, maybe would be some of the thoughts I would have. I'm maybe not getting to work on time because I'm not sleeping well because I can't relax at night. You know, it's those kinds of things. When it becomes unhealthy behavior, is one of the things where it's sort of getting in that obsessive arena, right? And sure, maybe it's just been a few nights that you've not been able to stop thinking about them. Like, let's take a step back for a second and really look at why are we so interested in what's going on inside of us. Now, I think this is probably a great place for us to move into all right, so, okay, red flags maybe in my life. I could potentially be a little obsessive. What's some of the first steps that you think someone in my very obsessive stance would take? And just by the way, I'm watching you obsessively right now as you tell me, because you're everything, Agnes. You're my world. You're everything.
There's a Bee Gees song about that.
Oh, there should totally be, right?
I just want to be your everything.
Oh, that's such a good song. I wish I had the more hairy chest going right now. I bust it out. With a gold medallion, maybe. There you go. Yeah, and the golden locks. Oh, the locks.
Yeah, the Bee Gees.
I just got all my hair chopped off recently too. It's a shame. I got all beautified up for you. I did. Perm.
You look a bit swish.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, once I've identified myself as a dirty, wicked
obsessor.
Obsessor. Thank you. What next? What?
Well,
self-love. I'm figuring.
It is, but I think if you go, if you can actually say to yourself, okay, I am obsessed. This is not good. I'm not in a good state. And then ask yourself, what is it that I think I am going to get from that person or that thing or whatever? Once you identify what it is, and we will use relationships because that's an easy, obvious one for our audience. When you look at that you're obsessed with a man or a woman, you go, okay, what am I obsessed with them for? Why? And it's usually, I want to get something from them. You're not just obsessed and you don't want anything. You're usually obsessed and you want something. So you go, okay, what is it that I think that person has to give me that would make me feel really good?
That seems like a really good little point you make. 'Cause I'm thinking about it. I'm like, there's been people where I think I've pretty much been, one of those unconditional kind of things where you just love them beyond words, like doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But there has been those people where I feel like I was chasing after them because there was something I was gaining from it. And I would think that maybe that's a question anyone can ask is, am I expecting to gain something from this person I'm at? And if that's the case, then that could at least cause an obsession. I mean, let me ask this. What if it's security? What if I'm looking to be maybe a mother, right? What if I'm wanting to be a mother and I need a man that can maybe, or woman, depending, right? I need a breadwinner, someone that's making the dough. And so that means I'm kind of needing them for something. Is there a place where it maybe is okay, but it doesn't cause obsession?
Yeah, I think there's a difference between an obsession and a desire. I think there's a big difference. I think a desire is,
or even a need, maybe, right? Because a need's kind of in there too. Like
needs kind of in the middle.
I know it's an ugly word. I will agree with you, but like if I'm in a position where I want to be a mother, right? I desire to be a mother, and I don't really want to work while doing that. That kind of creates sort of an environment where there's like, obviously, money's got to be not my problem, like, right? Or it's already taken care of in some other way.
You've got a good business, or you've got,
there you go. You're right.
You've sold
an hour a day. You're right.
Yeah, you do YouTube an hour a day. Right. I mean, there are ways to be secure, even if you're a mother and
that was my short-sighted. You're right.
Have a partner that they earn their amount. Maybe that's not enough. And you can go, okay, well, hang on. That person's not the source of my security. I am. Yes, I want to have a child, but I can create money even while I am caring for a little one. And I say that knowing 2 women that I know in my personal life that do that currently. And the second one is having her second child.
Nice.
So it is possible to see your partner as a partner who contributes, not the sole source of your security, but you do have to be someone who thinks about what idea can I create, what business can I create, what passive income can I create. It is possible, but you have to ask yourself those questions so that you don't put it on to the other person. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or you're right. And that puts that extra pressure. And I feel like that's actually kind of the point, is when it's not, you're right. It's more of a, I need you to versus these are the things that we need, or right? Like that's the difference between more of a global thinking versus a very centric, focused on me. Something has to happen in order for me to feel like I'm better, good, I'm attractive. And I think that's one of the places where obsession probably unfolds. Would you agree? Is where there's some of our poor me qualities that when self-love is missing, that's kind of another way you might see that reflection show in the mirror. You're like, whoa, that's ugly. But that can be that person that's, I'll use the cliche, do these pants make me look fat? And it's like, well, no, it's the fact that they're a size 92 that makes them, that's the problem. It's not the pants per se.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe those are some of those things where you might identify some of these obsessive qualities. Again, that you need that hand shaken back, like pat on the back. You need something back from them, and really, maybe I don't know. Am I saying you think I'm saying it in a weird way?
No. I think it's interesting because we're talking about desire versus obsession. It just made me think. It's like it goes from when you have a desire. I feel like
that's the fine line, right, between healthy and unhealthy, isn't it?
Because desire is a healthy thing. Wanting something from a place of, that'd be great to have that. Wouldn't it be fun? My life's already good, but having that would be a bonus. And your desire is strong and you're happy and you're thinking about it, but you still have a good life. You still concentrate when you're at work. You're not over drinking, overeating, over smoking, whatever. You're balanced.
It's balanced. Yeah.
When the desire goes into neediness, neediness is heading in the wrong direction. And then more extreme, it heads into obsession. So it swings into 3 categories, I think, from when you look at it. And a desire can turn into neediness. Or neediness can turn back the other way into a desire if you work on your self-love and your self-worth and letting go of being inferior. because it's an inferiority.
And I think well, I don't know if maybe this falls into inferiority, but like when you give your happiness card away, if you will, like I give they need to make me happy. This needs to be taken care of by them. This should be by them. Like when it's no longer your responsibility, then you can sit back and tap your feet and go, why is it taking so long for you to make me happy?
Yeah.
When the reality is you own that right to make yourself happy. That's your job.
It is.
If you don't know what makes you happy, then, well, that's the first place you should start. What makes me happy?
What makes me happy?
What do I enjoy? Learning things, maybe a hobby.
Yep.
Maybe I like to read, whatever. I don't know, learn another language to challenge yourself. Learn how to cook if you don't know how to already. I don't, you know.
Yeah, there's so many things you can do, because I find when there's so much focus on another person to give you something, there usually is a underlying theme that runs, and I say this from looking and working with lots of people. There's usually, when that thing, like the relationship or the job, becomes the oasis in the desert, like if I get that, I will be so happy because I'm not happy now.
Right.
When there's the oasis in the desert thinking, there's a very high probability that that person's life on other levels is not satisfactory. It's, they're not in a job they like, they don't earn enough money, their health isn't good, they're not, they have issues with family, whatever. But there's usually lots of other issues. That is just another one, that one that you think is the oasis in the desert.
To take your analogy that step even further, and you get out to that spot where the oasis is again, and
it's a mirage.
Right. So maybe it's that one out there, and you find yourself keep placing it further and further out, when in reality it's inside. And stop where you're at and hang on a second. You'll find that place within you. And what people don't seem to get is when you find that, and it's really through self-love. That's why we keep clichéingly saying self-love, but it's that place where you're like, man, I do deserve better than this. I am better than this. And I enjoy these things, and I like doing this, and it's actually been fun. I got involved in a book club, or I got down at the gym and I started working out, or I don't know, I jogged, or I got on a cooking class, or I don't know what other fun things you might want to try to get into. And I think when we finally start to take ownership of our own lives and the choices we make, that we start to see a difference too. And that obsessive stuff starts to appear at that point too.
Yeah, it's good to actually look at your obsession and say, okay, I am obsessed. What is it that I need to work on within myself to unhook myself from the obsession, rather than making comments like, they're just afraid of commitment. They just don't, want to take this relationship to the next level or whatever. Because it's easy to look at what the other person isn't doing in relation to support your obsession, as in to really give you the thing that's going to stop your obsession, because they're never going to give you enough.
Right.
They're never, because they're human and they've got their own lives and they've got their own things to do and they've got their own jobs, and someone said to me once, the person they don't communicate very well. And I said, well, what makes you say that? And they said to me, well, because when I text them, they don't reply within a half an hour. And I remember thinking, well, that's actually not normal to put that expectation on somebody, because they probably do have a job. They probably do have to commute to and from work. They probably have to eat, cook, shop, do their clothes. And that's not realistic.
And sometimes probably just have to deal with the frustration of the fact that you text them every 5 friggin' minutes.
Yeah, and that's always, you got to look at that too. Yeah, am I somebody that does that?
And oddly, what's funny about being the obsessive is it does tend to lead to things like stalking. It does tend to lead to behaviors that, in some states will lead to a restraining order. So there is a path to unhealthiness that it can be a sign of.
Yeah.
So it isn't something where you can just, no, kind of sit back and hang on for a second. If you're placing your happiness, that's really one of the key, I think, ingredients to noticing it, like in any way, shape, or form, broadly. If you're noticing you place your happiness outside of yourself,
yes,
then that's maybe a place where you need to hang tight and just take a look at what's going on.
Yeah. And you got to say,
huh? I was going to say, you have like a bunch of meditations and stuff that help people with that, right? I mean, they can go to
the meditation channel.
To plug your meditation channel. What's it called?
Yeah. Just under my name. Just put my name into YouTube and both channels will pop up. But that channel is just for meditations.
Is there a little picture of your mug and maybe one of those little hearts, right? I don't do it well. I have a little heart, right? You're supposed to do one. There you go. You do it better than I do. See, that's what you get when you go to Agnes, people. Don't,
Well, I'm in the country of love at the moment.
That's right. What I was going to say, like when we talk like this, in the United States and all of our movies where the guy's like, and so I said to you, I'd like a sandwich. It's always that guy. And,
it's always that guy.
In our movies. He's our friend, and there's usually a bad person that's British or something like that. You know how it is. Politics is very interesting.
Yeah.
So are there
good subject. I think it's an important subject. It really, it does. Obsession affects all of us at some time.
And I think even healthy people have little moments of unhealthy obsession, and obsessive people, I'm sure, have little moments of healthy, right? Like it's kind of how it's the yin and yang, if you will, or yin and yang of obsession versus a healthy love.
Yeah.
And I think all of us, hopefully, pay attention to where we're at with that, because there's those times, and I think a lot of people too with the manifesting, you've heard it a lot, or creating or co-creating or whatever the heck the crazy thing we call it. But it's that, am I just crazy to think this? Am I obsessive? Am I, or is this really legit? And it's like, well, you need to be able to, are you putting all your eggs in that basket? Are you, right? Like there's questions you can ask yourself to find out, are you healthy about this? Or, because you should have a little skepticism, and not that I'm saying you'll disagree or change your mind, but there is that, question what you're doing. You should always pay attention to what's going on. And if it doesn't pass the muster, then maybe you need to revise your theory a little. But what most people will happily say is what you focus on, certainly when it comes to manifesting, what you focus on is what you create.
Yep.
And then back to our point a little bit, if you're being unhealthy in what you're expecting or your expectations, you can start to create obsessive traits and qualities. And those certainly don't benefit us at all.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No.
Cool. So we hey, I'm going to plug this now, because this is a crazy thought I have. So I'm going to hit you up live on this one too, and
go for it.
Right? But I want to do like maybe an hour long, you and I.
Yep.
On us pushed out. Like I want to go through different scenarios. Like, what about this kind of thing? And like there'll be places I'm sure I 100% agree, and maybe I'll give my little color commentary. There might be places where maybe I don't agree, and I want to get your feedback. I want to get your thoughts. I want to have a healthy discussion.
Let's do it.
I do one on my channel that was meant to kind of get more of a discussion going, but didn't quite the way I wanted. But it's such a popular topic that I think if we could just do it justice, and really try to cover it from all the different angles. Maybe people on your channel throw in questions, people on my channel, please throw in questions of your situation of how you're wondering how.
Let's do it.
I want to do the hard questions. I want to do the hard one. And I think that would be a bitch and show. What do you think?
Unreal. Because it's I love that topic, because it's so easy to
broad.
Yeah, it's broad, and also it's easy to keep going back to, but they such and such, that can't be me pushed out. So that's a question that pops up again and again. So for me, to explore that.
Yeah, and for me, I hear a lot, well, that's everything's us pushed out. And I'm like, wow, that seems like a really broad brush too. I kind of wonder if there's maybe an end of that universe, or a place where it starts to meld into something else, right? Like I feel like it's a very broad topic, and I love it. And I do
too.
Good. Okay, so all you guys, I just want everybody out there, our next show, so 2 weeks maybe-ish.
Yeah, let's do 2 weeks. Well, let's do it before I go back to Australia, when I'm in London in the next 2 weeks.
Crap, you're going back to Australia? Yeah, it's so hard to record when you're there.
Is it?
Well, it's just the time frame. It's like 16 hours ahead or something.
I know.
A really weird difference of time on you and I, where so anyway.
I know. Let's do it in London. It's easier. We'll do it when I'm in London.
Awesome. That'd be awesome. So yes, everybody, that's what's coming up. So that's something else you can obsess about. Was that an accident? I don't know. I doubt it.
I doubt it. You're just, that's very funny.
Yes, I love you. You're the best. So everyone, thank you. That's what's coming. Please leave comments, share videos, all that good stuff. And we'll do another great episode of the Agnes Vivarelli and Dan Radio Style show.
Sounds good.